What's good? It's Fever. I wanted to give my impressions of level 1 to 49 of Wildstar. Now, the level cap of this game is level 50, and if you've ever played an MMO, you know that the experience between leveling and questing is drastically different from the end game or max level phase. So I want to get what I think about this game out before I even experience the Elder game, and I apologize because I'm just kind of going with it. I'm just sort of talking right off my head. But before I jump into my own thoughts, I want to say that if you are planning on watching or reading anybody else's reviews, do not read too much into them unless they have reached at least level 20 and have completed a dungeon or two. And I would also say that I would hope to find people who have played to level 35 or 40, as that's where the experience really becomes less stale and you kind of have an idea of what the game's about. And I know that's actually a really huge time investment to ask, especially since levels take a couple hours each, but MMOs are very weird to give impressions on, and I respect the first impressions format, but for MMOs, and Wildstar in particular, you can't really get a good read on the game because everything is so trickle down. The game just changes so much as you progress that each 5 or 10 levels, the game feels different, and you have different things you can do or could do or different options, so please enforce your own 20-level rule for taking reviews seriously, and realize that people who bought into the beta with a pre-order can only reach level 17. Now, what do I think about Wildstar? First off, let me say that I am eager for the release of this game, and I cannot wait to sink an unfathomable amount of time into the game. That said, this was one of the most bland and conventional MMO games I've ever played. If I could describe my experience in a single word, it would be meh. This is actually the source of my frustration with the game, as well as where I think a lot of the charm lies because it's familiar. Wildstar doesn't really do anything different from other games. Most MMOs being released have some sort of hook, a setting, a gameplay feature, game focus, or a lore that really grabs your attention and holds on, but Wildstar doesn't, and it's painfully obvious. It plays like a silly or whimsical sci-fi western in World of Warcraft with a watered-down, action-based combat system using an ability system from Diablo 3. Now, we still have the traditional holy trinity of the tank, healer, DPS roles. There's dual warring factions with a number of classes and races with instance PvE and PvP. We run from quest hub to quest hub looking for exclamations on the map and on people's heads to get quests to, kill X of something or gather this or deliver this to there. And once you finish all that, you're going to be running to a new zone to do that same thing over and over again. The trade skills are very similar, the hubbing of the main city, everything is very familiar. And I think the worst part is, the most interesting thing to me when I heard about it is the combat. And the combat's funny because the movement part is really smooth, and movement is incorporated into a lot of the gameplay in a really nice way, but the action combat portion is weird because while everything is a skill shot, little asterisk there, it's like a League of Legends skill shot, where you'll basically hit as long as you're looking in the right direction and you've gauged range, but it's harder to miss than it is to hit. Add in that the game utilizes that skill system like Diablo, where you actually only have a limited amount of abilities that can be equipped from, say, a list of 30, and they can be augmented, but early on in the game and as you're playing through, you only have a couple abilities that you have access to. The game really revolves into button mashing where there's no skill to it. Now, the game, Wildstar is risky because not only is it bland and doesn't really have a hook, it's sci-fi, a humorous theme, and a stylized cartoon graphics. These are 3 things that can completely just turn somebody off of a game instantly, and it actually did that to me. In fact, I had access to Elder Scrolls Online for 3 weeks, 3 weekends, and I ended up playing more of it than I did when I had Wildstar for, a couple months. I had probably only sunk like 5 to 6 hours in Wildstar, and I was playing Elder Scrolls Online all the time, so read into that as you will, because Elder Scrolls Online has been butchered. But then something wonderful happened. I hit level 20 and jumped into a dungeon, And that's where I realized that this game was special. And it's not because of something new that it had, but because it kept something in it that other games have thrown away. Difficulty and personal achievement, okay? This is where I get into the good stuff. Dungeons in Wildstar are very typical. They're very run-of-the-mill. You run through an instance zone, killing sets of trash that never end, and then in between all that is littered with a very vague quest line and some bosses. But the boss fights are where I got hooked. Wildstar deals with difficulty in a very unique way. Instead of just tweaking values and making enemies hit harder, or have more health, or they give you some novelty to avoid, they are these like crafted, very well designed fights that get intense. I mean, just check out the video right now. They look great and they're hard. But not only are they hard, but they feel fair. Now that's the really big line there. They feel fair. You die and you aren't mad at the healer who forgot to heal you or the tank for losing aggro. You probably died because you were unable to navigate through the boss's spells and ability in some kind of weird dance. The dance is super fucking important because when you fuck up in Wildstar, you die. Seriously, death is fucking just quick and it's painful, and you sort of get into this rhythm where as you're in these fights, you learn the dance. And when you get that dance down, you feel like you fucked that boss. You owned the shit out of him. Even if you were healing. Even if you were tanking, you're still doing the dance because all of the telegraphed moves are for everyone. The buttons, the abilities, your healing, your causing threat, those might have been different, but you were two-stepping with me, and the level of satisfaction for doing a boss that was difficult and killing him is unreal. But even if you die, okay, you can just res back in and flip your abilities very quickly in between combat, because that's how the ability system works. You can change everything on the fly, out of combat, so you can change your spec based on the encounter. Maybe you need to add in some more mobility, or an interrupt, or a snare, or AoE damage, or damage mitigation, or a secondary ability that removes interrupt armor, or maybe you want supportive abilities to help your other players, whether it's area-wide buffs or debuffs on the boss. You try that, and if it doesn't work, you try it again. And you keep doing it. And you keep altering and making decisions that reinforce the feeling that when you killed the boss, you fucked him up. You fucked him up good, and you are, in fact, a boss. And that's around level 20. That's the first time you feel that, and it just gets better. But level 20 is also around the level where monster packs out in Questland, they can kill you. You pull an additional pack, and you have a real fight on your hands that easily ends up with you dying. Hell, even one pack proves nasty in a very strange way, because it's not just the difficulty and how hard he hits and how much healing you can do. The combat telegraphs need to be avoided. You cannot be lazy. You gotta fuck that mob. You gotta two-step around him, fuck him good, avoid the first attack, stun the next, burst him down before he finishes the next, or avoid it. Because if he hits you, there's a good chance you're gonna die. And what if he knocks you back into a different set of mobs? And if he does, swap out your abilities real quick, do what you need to do to fuck that mob. And if we add into the sort of the vision of this game, we got 40-man raids, we have genuine group quests, we have very hard, in some cases unsoloable mobs that you can't kill by yourself that can drop unique gear. There's zone-wide event quests for everybody. Some of these you need like 20 plus people to do. There's personal challenges and real difficulty. And the game is really just giving to us what's been taken away from us. A real sense of achievement. It's not about entitlement. When we do something good, we feel good. And when we do something bad, we feel bad. And the game will actually mock you. I mean, it'll make fun of you if you die a lot. And I think that's what's missing. That there's actually lows. You feel bad when you play the game, but you also can feel good. Now, actually, just thinking about it, there is one thing that Wildstar does that is pretty innovative. The housing system is absolutely phenomenal, and I don't want to go into too many details, but it's much more than just decorating your house, and I just keep learning more and more about it, and I'm super excited. It also works as a feature in the game that encourages you to want to play with others instead of forcing you to. And this is something that is desperately needed in MMOs, which some people play solo. Some people play MMOs solo, which is completely backwards to me. Now, because of the balance issues, I kind of stayed away from PvP, and that's really because you can't really get, I don't even know, you don't really get a good sense of it because you're not at the right level that they're balancing for, and overall, I don't know, I didn't want to touch it because PvP is a completely separate beast, and some people don't even want PvP in their games, but I wanted to get one main thing across, okay? If you're going to play Wildstar, if you're going to be watching content, if you're going to be watching other people stream it, and you're going to be listening to people talk about it, the main strength of Wildstar is that it has this persistent feeling all the time that you're either doing something good and you're working towards something, or you're doing something bad and just being bad and you are bad and you just keep dying or whatever. There was a part in my leveling process where I died about 15 times because this one mob had this set of attacks that I couldn't get through my head. And it was just a normal mob. I had to kill like 20 of them. And I changed my ability loadout about 7 times. And I was a DPS warrior, and I ended up taking a couple tank spells and then a couple of these utility spells to just, instead of kill him quickly, I just tried to avoid him. And when I killed him, when I owned that fucking rock mob, it just felt good. Wildstar is not like some kid's sport or contest where you're the last winner. You win or you lose. You don't get rewarded just for participating. I like Wildstar. And I hope you do too. Purse.